Eddie Network. You see him. You have been asking for him. You have been requesting him. I've been requesting him. We tracked him down. He is still here. He's still with us. I promised you guys. Coach Hull, hey, in the flesh. Hey, that's actually backwards. Let me flip that right there. Okay, one more time. Let's see that. See if that works. No, I'm still backwards. Let me do this. Oh, there we go. Right there. Okay, look at that.
My wife bought me a nice pullover for Christmas. I hadn't had a chance to wear it, man. It's time to do it.
Yeah, that's simply fantastic. Okay, so this is, let me collect that right there. Okay, so Dodgers Dog, we are finally back, and boy, what a show that this club put on. And Coach, this is going to be the new murderer's row for the Dodgers. You talk about Mookie, you talk about Shohei, Freddie. Of course, Freddie just hit that absolute bomb today. Mookie Betts had the 3 hits. Shohei Ohtani has been very impressive. So that first 3, have you ever in your lifetime seen a better top 3 hitters in a row like that?
Oh, it's been a long time. If I've ever seen it, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the Big Red Machine back in the day, but they were pretty dadgum good. The Dodgers win 104 games, couldn't go to the playoffs. So, with Morgan, Rose, those guys, but still, not in recent memory, no, on any team having those 3 like that, 3 first ballot Hall of Famers and 3 basically MVPs. I think right there at the top of your lineup, it's crazy, and what they got going on behind him is he's doing even well too. So the offense is just awesome. I mean, it's crazy.
You mentioned what's behind him, and the thing about it is, Coach, you've been around this game forever. You know as well as I do, whenever you go through a stretch of hitters like that, guys like Will Smith, Max Muncy, Tio Hernandez. By the way, I was really proud of Tio for going up the middle with that 2-strike hit today. They're going to get better pitches to hit. And when you talk about getting better pitches to hit because of the lineup, Max Muncy, he has elite plate discipline. Will Smith, elite plate discipline. We saw the hanging breaking ball that Will Smith hit today. It just really sets up not just for those 3, but it's a domino effect for the whole lineup, isn't it?
Well, there's no doubt about it, Casey. You've got to pitch to somebody. I'll use a small version here at Stillwater High School. We got Ethan Holiday, ranked as the #1 player in the class of 25. I told the coach the other day, Coach Lees, I said, somebody in front of him, behind him is going to have a chance to hit, because people aren't stupid, and we've got a good lineup around him just on the high school level. But you're talking about now major league level. They don't walk people anyway, big leagues. That's why Barry Bonds hit 800,000 home runs.
Yeah.
When they threw bad pitches, he walked. When they threw a play, he hit it out of the park. So, but guys are in the big leagues because they're walking people. They're going to go after hitters. They got a book on everybody. They're going to go after hitters. That being said, those 3 at the top of the order, I mean, it's really pick your poison. And you start getting down there. I know we'll probably get in more with Lux later, but he's hitting good this spring.
Yes.
He's shown offensive ability. And obviously, he can't be a DH because we've got a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So, we talk about that later, I'm sure, but he's having a good spring. I mean, you look up and down the lineup, and we know the guys come off the bench. I mean, they're going to see good pitches. I mean, first of all, they don't walk people in the big leagues. Certain situations they do. Playoff time, kind of like we talk about sacrifice bunt. They don't sacrifice bunt there either till last year the Phillies and D-backs did against each other because they're trying to go to the World Series. That sort of thing. So same way here, they're not going to walk a whole lot of people. They're going to be smart, pitch around people. They got books, they got videos, they got all the analytics. We've even got a lot of that in high school, but not like those guys have for years and years and years. They know exactly if the guy has a hole or if there's something that could be considered a hole, they're going to hit it. But the reality of it is they're not going to pitch around them where they walk them very often. They're going to try to be fine with them, and they're going to make a mistake. And it's just going to be crazy. I think, unless something just nuts happens, I think the Dodgers are going to be offensively, the numbers ought to be off the charts.
I would totally agree with that. Tio Hernandez, if he hits like he did today, James Outman's had a good spring. And then also, I think, we mentioned this last show, but Mookie Betts, I really think moving to shortstop, it just engages his brain. It brings out just the athlete part of him. We analyze this thing to death. We even at the high school level, Coach.
Sure. At
the college level, you analyze it to death. Sometimes you just make a move and just say, hey, man, go be an athlete, right? I really think that part of shortstop's going to free that up for Mookie Betts.
And I love Dave Roberts' words. It's permanently for now. That's the I love the way he phrased it. That is
makes exactly a great politician, correct. Wouldn't he?
Yes, it's permanent for now, for today. But no, I agree with you. I mean, you got your quarterback, you got your point guard, and you got your shortstop. Those are the in each of those sports, those major sports, those are the guys. The shortstop's going to have more errors because he's going to get more opportunities. Point guards got his hand in all the time. And I personally think catchers are even more important because they touch every pitch of every game. But anyway, your shortstop is a major position. And like I said, you got a guy. They're so lucky that they're able to make that move and yet keep Lux's bat in the lineup. And hopefully, his throwing situation is just something that's going to go away. We hope soon because his offense is something we need in our lineup. But I agree with you. I think Mookie play anywhere. We love him. Everybody loves him. And put him at shortstop. He'll eat it up over there too, just like he does everywhere else.
Young rookie pitchers keep the shite. You've said this a million times, Coach. I told the story last time about, hey, I was having throwing problems. I was like standing out there going, I hope they don't hit the ball to me. That happens to everybody if you play, right? And I told him the story about how you said, hey, there's probably 300 billion Chinese people right now that don't even know we're playing this game, right? It's not that big of a deal, right? So that's kind of where we're at with that situation that you mentioned. But having said that, I think this organization really has set the tone that, yes, we are a organization that relies on the process. We're an organization that relies on culture and this and that. But this year's a little different. Have you had teams before to where you go, hey, yeah, cool, but yeah, this has got to be more results-based because we really have a chance to win something. Have you ever changed gears like that?
Yes, I think you have. Sometimes you look up and as you start into the preseason, whatever, you get ready to get going, then you look and you go, man, we need to do something now, because even on the high school level, as you know, Case, every year's different. The guys we got with today at Stillwater High School aren't going to be the same. It's not going to be the same team next year. That's just the nature of the beast. It's that way all the time. And sometimes you walk in there, you've got ideas going into the season, and something happens. Maybe you get a move in. Maybe you get some kids that all of a sudden have made big jumps. You look up, and the guy was throwing 82, now he's throwing 90. We've got one of those here, as a matter of fact. And all of a sudden you're like, first of all, I just became a smarter coach, a better coach. And we got a chance to but we need to do it this year. 5 of those guys are seniors. I can put it on the high school level, and you've been there also. This is our year. This should be our year where results, every year you shoot for a state championship on our level, but the results is what you're shooting for. And I think I've had a few, not very many, but I've had a few situations like that. And it's now time, as Dave says, temporarily for now.
Do you like that? Do you like the tone the Dodgers are setting with this club?
Yes, I do. I've got, of course, I know we'll get into more of this later. I'm developing some big concerns over the pitching staff and whatever. That's just my opinion. But as
which
far
ones?
As hot takes. The start. Look at the starting depth. I know we got Glass now, the guys up top. But now what she hands out for a while looks like they're still working for a 5th starter.
Which, by the way, Stone and Grove both look fantastic. Kyle Purdas looked great.
I heard Grove's had a great spring, so is Stone. And Stone has proven it up there. Grove's ready. Grove needs it's his time. Case, you followed him up through the minor leagues. You all the way up, probably. You know more about him than anybody, but he's quality. It's his time, and somebody's going to get that 5th spot. It's going to be good, but, you're still waiting on Buehler. You're still waiting on Kershaw, whatever. I guess maybe I'm gun shy on what happened last year. That's never going to happen again, where a major league team's going to lose.
It's already happening with Brusar Grotto on Blake Trinan. You've already seen it happen. Yeah,
I was getting to that on the bullpen. Yes, now because I was telling somebody a couple of days ago, I got another Dodger fan here that coaches with us. He's from actually Orange County, so he's a big time Dodger fan. And
Billy,
we were talking about that. He's a USC grad, and he's all in on Dodgers case. But we were talking about him, and I said I love Trinan. At one point, maybe a couple of years ago, I can't pinpoint. Trinan was unhittable, before his injury. Mm-hmm. You see, and they bring him out of the pen. I remember me and Rex talking. My brother is like, "Good Lord, how did they ever hit this guy?" Then he had some injury deals. I know he was having a good spring, and here you go again. But the grad, here we go again now instead of the starters. So I think I should rephrase it. I'm probably more concerned with the pitching staff as a whole. There is nothing to be concerned with on that offense. There is in my mind, for major league level, there's nothing to be concerned with there. But the pitching, the bullpen concerns are starting. That's just a fan in me and a coach in me coming out going, what we do today is going to affect me down a week from now too. And it's that domino effect of pitching, especially when you get in the bullpen and you got guys coming off arm injuries, arm surgeries, and Buehler's position. He had 2 arm surgery, so, I just got, I worry about that. That's probably the coach coming at him. And I know it's the fan coming at me. I'm like everybody that's listening.
Now, when you say
here.
worry, are you worried about like making the playoffs or like worried about being the world championship guy? Yeah.
Like you said a minute ago, they're going for the world championship. And I hate saying it. It's professional sports. They get paid.
It is what it is.
Of money. It's win it all or it's a disappointing season. I mean, I'll say it. That's the way we all feel. I'm sure they'll tell you the same thing. I've never heard that, and I would never ask them that. That's not fair. But the reality
they
is,
moved Gavin Lux after 10 chances because he didn't look good. They feel that way. They're feeling it.
And he's hitting 400. They put him. We can't get him out of the lineup, and we got a $700 million DH that ain't going anywhere. So we got to. That worked out great. That Mookie, they just switched positions there. And if Gavin takes care of the defensively on his end at second and doing some things, it's a great move. But I mean, it's crazy. That they're all, as we know. It's no news flash here. It's no hot take on my part. They're all in. If they don't win at all, it's a disappointing year.
I would agree with that. But the starting pitching, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I thought it was interesting the other day how it seemed like he was I'm not nervous, but he's just wanting to do so good. You have that guy that comes over and you sign that big contract and everybody's expecting all this from him. It just seemed like he's not quite settled yet. I think he'll be okay. Glass now looked just his last time out. It was like, wow. I mean, watch this guy. I think Paxton, he showed a little bit of signs of being good and then also some signs that at spring training, Bobby Miller, his sequencing the other day was just ridiculous. And then I really thought Gavin Stone looked really, really nice. This is Gavin Stone here they're seeing on their screen, Coach. Gavin Stone, the thing about him, and I put this on my Twitter as you're seeing this, Gavin Stone's a guy that when he's able to throw that changeup that turns right and that little bullet cutter that turns left like he did today, what that does for him, Coach. You guys used to teach, we didn't know what to call it back then. We called it a slider, but what they call that now is a bullet cutter, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
What it's meant to do is just kind of give you a fastball look, but keep hitters from ambushing it. So when he can just turn that thing a little bit right with the changeup, turn it a little bit left with the fastball, what it does for you is it opens up margin for error. So whenever you really get confidence in the major leagues, you go out there, first of all, the first round is, okay, well, if I execute everything perfectly, then I'm going to get it out, right? But then you realize, well, hell, I can't be perfect every time, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what happened to Gavin Stone today was he actually hung a couple of sliders. He actually threw a couple of four seams that didn't move a whole lot in that sat middle, and you know what happened? They didn't get hit. And the reason why they didn't get hit was because he had done such a good job with his little cutter turning left, his little changeup turning right. He tumbled enough changeup straight down to where he had changed the timing of the hitters, he had changed the eye levels of the hitters, and he had kept them off the barrels. So now Gavin Stone feels like he can go out there, and if he can just turn things right and left just a little bit enough, he doesn't have to be perfect. That's when you really get comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you're changing eye level, you're changing speeds. Greg Maddux was the master of that all time. I never ever see another guy like that. Everything moved a different way. Nothing looked the same, and hitters are never comfortable with him. And we're going to see, I think, this year that Stone getting that experience last year, even though it wasn't all perfect and all great for him. He pitched in big games in the major leagues last year, and he's had time to study that and work with that and work with the coaches and work with himself. What I need to do better. And like you said, Case, anytime you got hitters, I won't say guessing, some do, some don't, but it's not real smart sometimes, especially a guy like that who's turning things, who's changing directions on his speeds and eye level. Those guys we call them getting in a groove, and they're hard to hit. If he's throwing, like you said, that four-seamer ain't moving down the middle, it's going to get hammered because they're sitting on it. Okay, I just wait, here it comes. But they can't do that because he's throwing other stuff. That's in the history of baseball. They're not comfortable in there against him. When they get comfortable, you see some big-time shots out of these multi-million-dollar major league hitters.
Now, it is spring training. You don't want to make too much of that. As you're seeing with Gavin Stone, they're seeing video of him, Coach. You've seen him throw his four-seam middle. You've seen him hang his slider right down the middle of the plate. And, again, it is spring training, so you don't want to make too much of it. But between him and Gavin Stone, Kyle Hurt, well, that's all I'm going to say about that situation as far as who's going to go to Korea. But I think that's a fifth starter there that if they keep pitching like they are right now, again, you're not asking them to be your ace. You're asking them to go out there and give you 5, maybe 6 innings, give up 3 or 4 runs, let this offense take over. If Gavin Stone can go out, or whoever it may be in that fifth spot, go out and give 5 innings to 6 innings every time, and then only give up 3 to 4 runs, you're talking about a club that's going to win 109 games because that's your fifth starter, right? Because you know Yamamoto, you know Glass now, you know probably Walker Buehler when he gets back, Bobby Miller. They're probably going to trump that. So really, I mean, the thing about that's exciting is, yes, Gavin Stone went 4 innings scoreless today, but he doesn't even have to do that. He just has to be okay. He doesn't – just don't be terrible, right?
It's kind of like a quarterback sometimes. You hate to say they're just game managers.
Yes, good
We've
point.
seen that even on Super Bowl winners. Tampa Bay, the guy who won when Gruden was there, Trent Dilfer, you know, he's good enough to be in the NFL, so he's a good quarterback, good NFL quarterback, but they didn't rely on him. They relied on a great defense. So just kind of a game management type deal. This guy, hey, you know, we're going to score runs, you know, just give us a chance where we don't have to get deep in the bullpen early on it. And, you know, we got a great defense out there, which all, you know, big leaguers are all, you know, honestly, I mean, every team's going to put a great defense out there. They're not going to be in the big leagues. But so you got some freedom to do some things. Stone, like I said, Stone or Grove, either one. I feel comfortable with both of them. Me and you've talked about this before. I hadn't talked to you in a while, but I know in the past we've talked about, you know, and I know how you feel about these young guys because you've been up close and personal with several of them, most of them, probably maybe all of them.
Yes.
Now, what are you doing with these guys? You can't use them all for trade bait. They're going to have to come and pitch, and they did last year. And God bless them. They're the reason why we got as far as we did last year. And I think, you know, get Sheehan back healthy. But Stone or Grove, either one, from what we've seen so far, you know, that's all you can go off of. We could sit here and throw stuff in the computer and blah, 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 and do all this. But until they told the rubber out there and they start throwing to hitters, you know, you can tear up your analytical sheet sometimes and go, we've got a kid right here right now. In case I don't mention his name, but he's a senior, and everybody's telling me he's pretty good. He's pretty good. In our preseasons, you know, it hadn't been pretty good. We rolled out there last Tuesday night against one of the top teams in the state of Oklahoma.
Just trust me, he's good.
Yeah, 13 strikeouts, 2 hits, no runs in 6-inning game, and it's doing 88 miles an hour.
I know who you're talking about.
Exactly. I'm sitting there going, he's, in other words, we've all seen Case, he's a gamer. I've had him in basketball, I've had him in football.
Yeah, make it count.
They
See how he
don't
does when it
like
counts.
practice. And then you got them the other way too. I got guys that look great in the cage when the lights come on, they can't play. So you got them on both ends of the spectrum. You got what we call 4 o'clock All-Americans. You know, in
the 5 o'clock hitters.
Yeah, they're in the batting cage for the game. They're awesome. The game starts and they disappear. And you got the other. I used to have a first baseman hit for me. He was terrible. He couldn't go to college because anytime he go to a tryout, he looked terrible. But he hit 420 for us and he hit 3-hole for me. Yeah. You know, he's just a gamer. He could care less about the practice.
I remember I was sitting in a game with you.
Also,
I was sitting in a game with you at OSU one time, and you probably don't remember this, but guy was on deck, and I was young, and I was like analyzing his swing, and I was going all coach on it. And you said, "Hey, Casey." And I was like, Coach, how in the hell does a Division I guy have that swing? How does that guy get on that field? You go, I'll promise you one thing, that a Division I coach is not putting that swing on the field unless that dude can freaking hit. And he went like 4 for 5 that day, hit it. I was like, man, how'd you know? He's like, just trust me. They're not putting that guy on the field unless that guy can hit. So, yeah, you are right. Sometimes you do have to just throw. Drew Avens is kind of that guy. Hey, this is Michael Grove right here, Coach. And the thing about Michael Grove, they're looking at it here that was so simply fantastic about him. That slider, that depth slider right there that you just saw, that is a great pitch for him. There's another slider he threw on the outer half. So he kind of had different types of sliders. There's his changeup, and then here's another slider. Well, that's actually a 4-seam up, which he can hit 98 with it. And then there is a slider on the outer half, more of the bullet type slider. The thing about Michael Grove is his slider is his number 1 pitch, but his fastball is good, especially when he's landing his slider. But the thing he did the other day, and if he can duplicate this, he had different shapes to it for different reasons. So he threw that little cutter, what we used to call a slider, right, in the 80s and 90s, that kind of turned a little bit sideways, turned a little bit left to make sure he could throw it in a strike zone. He had one that had a little bit more depth, that looked more like a curveball, that could get some swing and miss. And then also he had one that was kind of in between that was meant for soft contact. So whenever you're able to throw different types of sliders, here he is again. See that slider there on the outer half that they're seeing? It's really a situation to where you're able to challenge a hitter in different ways. By the time that you get back to that fastball, they saw it right there, then that fastball looks a lot better. Now, he can hit 98. He's 95, 96, somewhere there. So his fastball isn't a bad pitch. It's just he hasn't located it very well. And because he really hasn't, unless he has that slider like Gavin Stone we talked that is keeping hitters off balance, they're going to hit that fastball because it hasn't been located perfectly. So two things for Michael Grove. His fastball is good enough to get major league hitters out. A, if it's spotted up well, that's everybody. Or B, if he can continue to throw the slider like he did his last outing. It was really good.
There's no doubt. I mean, we talked about this several times. If you can pitch backwards,
Yes.
Anytime you got a guy that can pitch backwards and be successful with it, like you're talking about, throwing some stuff, bending, moving, speeds, changing, locations, the fastball is going to look like it's 105, even if it's 98. But I know you think real highly of Grove. We talked about this several times, even back when I first started on there with you. You've seen him come up through the deal, through the ranks, the minor leagues.
He's talented. He has a talented right arm.
He's
maddening, though. I mean, it's like you'll see flashes. You've had these guys, Coach. You see flashes of them, and you're like, damn, there it is. That's what I've seen. And then all of a sudden, it's like, Michael, come on, man. I mean, it's maddening with him. It's really a crazy deal. And he's had a lot of run. Honestly, he's one of the ones that he actually has had a lot of run. So he's had a chance to get comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the key to it right there. We just the other day had a game, and I remember telling the coach, the pitching coach, and the head coach after, I just kind of we were never comfortable. Meaning he was never comfortable on the mound. Our defense was never comfortable. It just was there's no groove. Never got into it. Couldn't land it. This looked good. This looked bad. There's nothing. There wasn't ever any flow to the game. He never got into a flow where we could call pitch and then feel comfortable about it. And it was that way for 4 or 5 innings, and therefore we end up getting beat pretty handily. And not just blaming one kid. I'm just saying that
it sets the tone.
It sets the tone from the pitching mound, and that just kind of and you're struggling. Next thing you know, you're down 4-0, and that changes what you can do offensively on our level as far as bunting, stealing bases, that sort of thing, and it just kind of changes the game for you. It's the same thing, not on a major league level, but it's the same thing. Getting comfortable, getting in a groove, keeping hitters, uneasy, and having your defense ready to go when it's time to go. And it gives your offense an opportunity. If it's 0-0, think, hey, we're all right. We're 1-0. We're all right. If it's 4-0, then you got a different, animal. The Dodgers won't, because they're going to be able to hammer everybody. But us normal folks, have to worry about it if you get down 3 or 4-0. But it's all the same. It's just on a higher level.
See what they've seen here on the screen here is he's thrown a fastball up and in that got by. He kind of jammed a hitter because that hitter, what happens when you throw that slider that's turning left, right, Coach? They start leaning out over the plate trying to cover that outer half. Once they do that, then the middle of the plate honestly looks inside to a hitter, right? And then the inner half of the plate really jams them. So that's how Michael Grove has to use his fastball. He's got to get hitters leaning out over the plate, looking outside, so whenever he throws that fastball on the inner half at 96, 97 miles an hour, that looks really inside to a hitter. He was able to give that effect the other day, and because of that, we saw a couple sliders they saw that hung middle, but because the hitter was looking out over the plate, and also, here's another deal, if you're the same speed every time in the major leagues, they're going to hit you. I don't care what shape you are. I don't care I don't care how fast it is. His slider, his knuckle curve, it had different shapes and different speeds. So that makes just that 95, 96, sometimes up to 98 play even more for him. So I just really thought the blueprint for both Gavin Stone and Michael Grove were on display in the last 2 outings they've had.
And that's good for the coach, Dave Roberts and the pitching coaches and all the staff to evaluate and going, they've got to feel good about having a 5th starter. These guys, and we're talking about a 5 starter. This isn't your number 1. I mean, so
you just need him to be okay. You don't need him to be great.
Nope. You just need to give us some quality starts and take it easy on our bullpen.
Coach, can you back up just a little bit? I'm cutting your face off there. There you go. Well, that's a little bit better.
Probably need to cut.
There you go. Off. We want to see that pretty mug of yours, man. All right.
Well, probably cut my face off.
There we go.
Anyway, so I mean, it is what it is as far as that aspect.
Yeah, the pitching, as far as the way it's setting up for the Dodgers, again, it's going to be a situation to where you have a whole lot of depth. It's going to be interesting, and we do know that the Dodgers are one of the best teams in the major leagues at manipulating the IL, using that up-down train. So we've said it all year. We've been very consistent with it. It's going to be a situation to where the Dodgers starters, less times than more, will have more than 5 days rest. And that's a good thing, too, because I think that when you look at Mookie Betts, I think they're going to have to map out his innings at shortstop. When you look at all of the starters that the Dodgers have, I think they're going to have to map their innings out. So what the front office has done is that they have absolutely created a situation to where not only do they have front-end talent, they also have depth to where they can keep that front-end talent at a front-end level where they're not worn down, so they can continue to give front-end level type of performances.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. They've set themselves up in a good position there, and like you said, I mean, guys coming off the bench are quality. I mean, and not too far down the minor leagues, you're not going to live off those guys, but you got guys you can bring up and down. And I hate, here we are again. I mean, there's still some trade bait they have out there. I know it's not in the process now. They still have some guys there to pick up something they think they're short. And if the bullpen continues to get hammered, maybe one of those guys, maybe look for another reliever to come in. As long as we got Joe Kelly out there, he'll take.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, I love Joe Kelly. I know we all do, us Dodger fans. I hated him when he was with the Red Sox, carving us up in the World Series, but we love him now. You know how that goes. But
Dodgers rookies looked really good today. We're going to get to Kevin Gowdy, Coach. They're going to see Kevin Gowdy here. You won't see it, but I'm going to go ahead and show them some Kevin Gowdy film here in our launch angle series last week. Of course, Austin Gauthier was today. If you haven't seen that, go check out that Austin Gauthier feature. It's a really good feature on a guy that's really, really underrated, undrafted free agent out of Hofstra. Super proud of the fact that it went over 1,000 views. Great comments. Hey, here is another guy we did a launch angle on last week, Kevin Gowdy. Coach, I had a guy tell me last year, Jason Martin, you've also told me this too, when you're talking about young guys breaking into a lineup, everybody's timetable is different, right? This guy right here, Kevin Gowdy, they're seeing on the screen, knees and elbows. He moved to a two-seam last year in July. And sometimes you can make one tweak with the guy, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, the talent starts coming to the front. That's really been the case with Kevin Gowdy. There's a reason why they keep putting this guy out here. They are very high on this guy. I was super excited to get to see him on the big field today. So these type of guys that have talent, former second-round draft pick, it takes guys different times to get ready to be, whether in the varsity lineup or whatever it is. But you've seen that many times before, haven't you?
Well, everybody phrases it differently. The light switches come on, Case, or the game has slowed down for him. You hear that a lot of times, for quarterbacks, and now the game is slowed down. Or if a hitter's on a roll, it looks like a beach ball coming in there. There's that moment. There's that moment where you're sitting there going, "This guy's ready to go. This guy's ready." We didn't think he was going to be. Now, as we would say, the coach is sitting there, watching the light switches come on there, the guy's going, or an aha moment. There's 1,000 ways to put the same thing we're saying. It's all the same. The aha moment, the light switch is going on. The game is slowed down for him. It's all the same thing. All of a sudden, all these things these guys have been preaching to them or working with or watching film with them and trying to get them to do this, do that, all of a sudden it makes sense to them. They're able to execute it, and that's when everybody's got a big smile on their face going, let's go. This is our guys. Hey, the season's starting. The hay's in the barn. I'll use all the hick, hick things I can think of. The hay's in the barn. Let's go. These are my guys.
Is the hay in the barn for the Dodgers, or do they need to, if I were to say, hey, to make this as airtight as you can, which this club is all in, we've seen that. All right, do they roll with what they got, or do you take some of those trade chips? If you had to give away some of the trade chips, what do you go get? I mean, is the middle infield good enough to win a world championship?
I think you could always use another middle infielder. We got some guys on the bench that can do that, but is the bullpen going to be the bullpen this year? You know, I mean, I know we're not major injuries yet. I don't think I haven't.
Well, you have two of them, Gratterall and Trinan already. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and those are big pieces. You know, like I said, those are two of the biggest pieces, along with Joe Kelly. And I mean, you're sitting there going, of course, you know me, get Blake Snell, but that ain't happening. But anyway, if it's just a 1-year deal, let's get him. But anyway, you know, I think that if everybody was healthy right now, I think you just say, let's go. You know, I know they're getting ready to start anyway, whether they like it or not.
So you think Mookie at short and Gavin at second, and then trying to map out whatever innings with Mookie with Kike and Rojas, you think that's good enough?
Well, it's temporary for now, which means it has to be. They don't have any choice. Like you said, Case, he boosts the first 2 ground balls hit to him in the spring, and it didn't get much better. We're sitting here, you know, we're the LA Dodgers. We're sitting here. We don't have a shortstop we can depend on. There's no.
Yeah, how in the hell does that happen with this team?
That's what I'm saying. Here's what we're doing. We're putting a Hall of Famer over there now, and you're going to second. You know, and I hate saying this. Here's the other part about that. For some reason, Lux can't handle second. Where's he going? He's going to the bench, or he's going to Oklahoma City.
He's going to Oklahoma City to learn a new position, probably out there. That would be the next thing for him.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. We can only move you so many times. And like I said, DH is kind of taken up right now. And that's going to be that way for several years. So
it's going to be that way for many years,
we hope. But, yeah, I mean, we were said, I know me and you had this discussion back today, and you asked me several times, is Lux the answer at shortstop? And what did I tell you? It has to be. Those guys are smarter than I am. They planned on playing him last year there.
Yeah.
He was our starting shortstop last year.
A really nice point to that, though, Coach, and this was one of the comments, and so I can't take credit for this. But I will say last year was a little bit more experimental because you didn't have the same roster, right?
Sure, right.
I think last year was the year to where this club could actually afford to give Gavin Lux through June to see if he can figure it out. So he really lost the opportunity to have kind of a trial period last year. I don't think they would have pulled the trigger after 10 chances this time last year like they did this year, because it's a whole different roster and it's a whole different mindset. I really think you got unlucky in that vein.
Well, but they wouldn't have gone very far with him there.
No, right.
You had Mookie and Freddie. It wasn't like you had a bad lineup. You know, I mean, I know we put the $700 million man in there, but you know, we had a really good lineup last year. So I don't think they'd have gone very far with it. My point on the whole deal was, that was their plan last year. They know more about it than I do.
Absolutely.
They were all in on him last year. I'm pretty sure they were planning on winning the World Series last year too. Like you said, it's a different. This has a different feel. But the reality was they weren't just trying to rebuild last year. In my opinion, they were trying to do it, and it didn't work. But in this scheme of things, how many answers you got? Luckily, you got a Mookie Betts sitting over there, and you can slide over.
You got a lot of trade pieces. You got a lot of trade pieces.
That's why I said we still have the trade pieces out there. If you really don't feel comfortable about the middle as you need to, Vargas is great, but he can't hit. He don't hit well. You're going to lose a lot offensively. With him in there, so I don't know. You still have those pieces, and I know there's a lot of trades that can still take place. Dodgers deal, they're getting ready to start the season quicker than by them, the Padres.
That was another part that kind of went against that timing of it. I think that it's kind of looked at the guys. We can't throw this out in a game, so we got to figure this out right now. That sped up the timing. Hey, this guy they're seeing on the screen here, John Rooney, Coach, 27-year-old out of Hofstra, same as Austin Gauthier, threw another scoreless inning today. Yeah, I believe that was his third or fourth outing. I believe he's over 4 innings now. Not a whole big sample size in spring training, but it's the only sample size he has been given, and he's been fantastic. So there are some young arms in the bullpen. There is some depth there. It'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers go there, if this is a true competition. So let me get your thought on this. It's kind of interesting. I wanted to ask you this because, you replace Lux after the 10 chances. So what if a guy like Jason Hayward struggles out of the gate and all of a sudden he's hitting $150 through April? Do you have the same rules for everybody else, or is that a situation to where that was a one type situation? So is everybody on that same leash? Would be my question. I
don't think so, because we're talking about a defensive issue. You know what I'm saying? And a key defensive issue. Okay, so I'll go back into the 60s. This is old stuff, but catcher, shortstop, second base, center field, you can't be weak there. they didn't even care if those guys hit back in the 60s.
Yeah.
That's why you had the 210 hitting Bud Harrelson, played forever for the Mets. I mean, Don Kessinger, those guys couldn't hit their weight, but they could make every play. So that the offensive part obviously has changed. Everybody's a big time hitter now and strike out and get a lot of hits, but the defensive part hasn't changed. They can get by with a few errors at third base, which they are and have been in the past, but I think the defensive part of it was obviously the biggest part because Lux is hitting well. As far as Hayward, Chris Taylor's going to see more. I mean, you're going to see some guys. It won't be it's not the quick deal like we saw in the shortstop deal because that was first of all, we don't know what he can do because he was hurt all last year. But now what we're seeing ain't good. So, at some point, you kept Jason Hayward for a reason. I know he's great in the clubhouse. And Matt Holliday told me that himself. It's one of the best teammates he ever had. So I know he's great for the clubhouse, great for the team.
Matt did play with Jason, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, they're good friends, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes, they are good friends. And he said, he had nothing but high praise for him. I said, well, great. I'm great. Because the Dodgers, held on to him. So I was glad to hear that. So, he's going to get a little bit, I'm not, if he struggles the whole year, you can't sit there. But, he'll get a longer leash than with an untested shortstop 2-3 weeks before the season starts. Yeah. It's like you said, we're on a short leash because we got a short time frame.
Hey, we have a great crowd that has logged in, Coach. We are almost about to hit triple digits. I told you you'd bring them out of the woodshed. And we're going to read some of the comments. Hey, and again, I set this up earlier, changed the time because I wanted to go on with Coach Holt. And how about our Dodgers dogs, Coach? They responded. They came back, and look at them in force now, huh? Best baseball crowd out there, isn't it?
Yes. Loves those Dodger fans, and we're all one, man. That's how we are. Even if we disagree with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not like politicians. We disagree with each other. We still love each other. We all support one cause, and that's go Dodgers. So we don't run away from tough questions or tough issues where we disagree with each other. So that's the best thing about Dodger. That's why you're true Dodger fans. That's
no doubt.
True Dodger fans.
Tried and true, right? Hey, yep. Justin Lamas, good evening. They probably forgot about DST, One-Eyed Dragon. Good evening to you. Sammy Boy Smith, we've been scoring 6.1 runs a game so far. This is a club that can score in every which way. They can score in every part of their lineup. It is just a great offense. Matter of fact, one of my hot takes was on just how good this offense could be. One-Eyed Dragon, do we really need spring training to be 32 games? That's a great question. The position players would tell you they need about 8 games. The pitchers would tell you they need all 32. So the 32 games is strictly for the pitchers to get their arms ready. Although I think they could show up maybe those 3 to 4 weeks early in inter squads and do the same thing. But the 32 is for the pitching and also sellout crowds. We saw that today. They're making money hand over fist in these spring training games.
Yeah, these pitchers, you're right. That's it. Position players, these guys, it's not like back in the old days where they went and drove a beer truck in the off season and tried to feed the family. These guys work out year round. There's Matt Holliday. I see him every day. Looks like he could still play. He's ripped up and eats healthy and works out and whatever. I mean,
his son can play, Ethan.
Yes, he can. And Jackson's getting ready to be the big, we hope. But
he makes you a little bit better coach every day, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I'm not the head coach, but I do stand there and clap a lot when he runs by me after hitting home runs. Kind of puff my chest out a little bit.
So you need to be the one that takes him to the cage. You need to be the one that takes him to the cage where everybody says, hey, Coach Holt's working with Jackson Holliday.
Everybody knows better. I don't say a word to Ethan Holliday. Just let him he's got a great hitting coach, a great father, a great family, and I just try to support him in everything he does and let him do his thing. But but those guys, the point was
32 games spring training.
They work out. You're seeing that in football too. The football guys are coming out. They're getting hurt. They're wanting to shorten their preseason too. And you're looking up, and half the time, the starters play one series. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, and the football guys are getting it. They'd rather add another game and cut down their preseason. That might be all right, but I mean, those guys work out year round too. These guys don't get fat the all season and come rolling in there trying to get in shape like they used to. Those 30 days were used to try to get their beer bellies off and cut down to a pack of cigarettes a day instead of two. That was the deal with those guys. But I would tend to agree with them, shorten it. But pitchers are such, and you can see it now. Every team deals with arm issues, and don't get me on a soapbox going back to that. The little starting in the little leagues and throwing whatever.
Not throwing enough.
They're throwing too many breaking pitches when they're younger.
Right.
The guys that do the Tommy Johns will tell you they're seeing more 13 and 14-year-olds getting Tommy John, and it's a sad deal. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because I've been out there myself, being part of it. But there's a lot of injuries. I just always say back to Ferguson Jenkins, your neighbor over there in Guthrie, saying the day after he threw
Fergie came out the ballpark about once a month. He was a good
200
dude.
pitches. So what'd you do the next day? So I threw batting practice.
Yeah, right.
19 years, never had an arm problem.
Yep.
There's something to that case. I mean, there wasn't a pitch count. He had no pitch count. He was paid to throw 9 innings, and if you didn't,
he wasn't maxing out either, though. He was economizing. It's a little different mentality. I'll say that.
Exactly.
These guys are told to go out and max out, throw as hard as you can, not just your fastball, throw every pitch at max effort.
Yep.
It's a tough, whereas Fergie Jenkins was like, hey, I'm just going to kind of float this one in, maybe get a first pitch out, economize, try to keep my pitch count down. These guys can give a rat's ass about their pitch count.
Yeah.
They care about whether they're giving up runs.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Bob Gibson didn't economize anything.
Yeah,
He's going to buzz you under the chin. And Don Drysdale, our old Dodger, he wouldn't economize anything. You dig in on me, I'm going to deck you. But anyway, I'm just saying pitchers need that extra time to get ready, but don't kid yourself. Those guys are in shape when they come rolling in there.
They are.
They're in great shape. That's how they make their living. These guys are. If Casey, me and you were told, hey, we're going to pay you $5 million a year, but you better stay in shape you're on, I'd probably do a better job and not having a big belly I'm walking around with.
Yeah, might. It'd be possible.
I don't know. I still like to eat, but anyway. But you know what I'm saying? They're highly motivated to first of all to keep your position. There's some 19-year-old they just signed from Puerto Rico that wants your job, and he's hungry. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And that's what you're going to face when you walk in there. So there's a lot more, as you mentioned, a lot more pressure on these guys to perform, and to do that, they have to stay in shape year round. They can't just take. I know pitchers don't throw for so. I know they will take time. They have to rest their arms. Once the season's over. But as far as
about a month,
as far as the working out and staying in shape, it's a year round. It's all the time. So they're all doing that. So.
It absolutely is, Coach. We have a great crowd logged in. We want to thank everybody on Dodgers Dawgs for showing up tonight. Hey, Mr. Seabad, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Says, Dodgers are having first world problems having the Ferrari in the shop, so they have to drive the Rolls Royce instead. Oh, the agony, right? That sounds about right. That's a pretty good description of this team, right?
Yeah, woe is me. We're sitting here whining. There's a lot of teams sitting there have nothing compared to what the Dodgers are going to run out there today. But, the rich get richer to say. We're hoping that's the way it is this year. We're all in. We're all in just like our team is to spend all that money. We're all in with them.
Yep. Hey, Craig Osterberg, Gavin Stone looks like the 4th or 5th starter. He did a good job today. I would agree with you. And good evening, Craig. Thank you so much for joining. Sammy Boy Smith says Lux is hitting .321, but no extra base hits. He's going to be your 9-hole. He's the guy that turns that thing over to Murderer's Row. Do you care if he has extra base hits if he's getting on base?
No, I don't. But again, I'm old, Case. I'll go back to old school. If he's hitting, oh my gosh, he hit .320 in the regular season. Is your 9-hole? Just get on base. He's going to hit some doubles here and there. But no, go back to Billy Ball. I guess not Billy Ball. The Oakland A's stuff over there.
Moneyball.
I say Billy, that's Billy Martin. But anyway, Moneyball, on base percentage.
Billy Bean is the one who started it. That's why you think that.
Yes, that's why. Billy Bean had the Moneyball. But anyway, he gets on base at the table setter. We do the same thing here. We've got in case you hit 9-hole for me and you're a heck of a hitter. The reason you did, because they're not just going to lay it in there to you because you're going to hammer it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I've always done that, and everybody does that. You're going to have a 9-hole hitter, especially now the DH. They're probably not going to have any weak hitters in it. We used to put a weak hitter at 8-hole. That's kind of the unwritten rule. Maybe unwritten, but your worst hitter is 8-hole. Not
the one that needs the most amount of protection.
Yeah, and that's why you'd see Tony La Russa hit his pitcher 8-hole sometimes.
Yeah.
He's one of the few guys ever did that. He'd hit his pitcher's 8-hole.
That's why I like Outman in the 8-hole, because I think he can be very successful, but I think he is the one who needs the most amount of protection in terms of getting good pitches to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still seeing the tip of the iceberg on Outman.
Yeah.
We know the talent's there, the body. He's got everything it takes to be successful. That's a good spot for him.
Yeah, I agree. Totally
that's good for him. He ought to be loving it. That's good for his career.
Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, thank you so much for joining. We certainly appreciate you. I agree, One-Eye Dragon, we are spoiled. Hey, Craig says Freddie is ready. One-Eye Dragon, let's start the season already. All the chips are in the middle of the table. Normally says, I felt bad for Lamet, who is trying to jumpstart his career, but he got no help from Betts and Lux today. Yeah, the Dodgers will, with guys like that on the periphery, they will evaluate the process with him, and they'll give him some time at AAA Oklahoma City, and he'll be that guy like they had last year, like they had many different times. They always have those quad A type pitchers in Oklahoma City, and he'll get plenty of evaluation, I promise you. So, yeah, frustrating, I'm sure, for him, but certainly not anything that he's going to get a lot of evaluation from this Dodgers organization. Normally, Stone threw enough strikes with his fastball and breaking stuff that it messed with the hitter's timing, enough to get fairly weak contact. Control will decide his career. Standing ovation.
There you go.
This is
Absolutely.
why Dodgers Dawgs is the best crowd out there, Coach. I get to read comments like that over and over and over. I've been talking about Gavin Stone for so long that, hey, the Dodgers love these high-riding four-seam guys that can run it up there 100 miles an hour, dropping the changeup straight down, and then throwing the left-turning sliders. Gavin Stone has to work east and west off of barrels. He has to change speeds. Call it old school, call it what you want. I call it the right school because that still plays.
We call it success.
Yes.
However you got to get there.
There's nothing wrong with changing speeds and moving the ball to get outs. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot of guys made a lot of money doing that sort of thing. There's a lot of guys that didn't make a lot of money throwing 100 right down the middle. They weren't there very long. Yep.
No doubt about that. Hey, Gregory, thank you so much for joining. Please smash that like button. If you haven't done it, hit that like button. Leave a comment. Tell all of your friends about Dodgers Daily. Coach, what do you think about the hat? Yours is in the mail. I've got also your hoodie coming, and I'm going to get you a short sleeve shirt that was a little bit too small. Those ran a little too small, so they are coming. But, hey, if you haven't hit that like button, leave a comment. Tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily. Make sure and become a subscriber and turn on those notifications. So, like today, whatever time we decide to go on, right? Whatever time we can figure out to get on, you will get notified when we come on. So, hey, Hepatitis C you later. Always love when Hep C joins. Elite comments, no doubt about it. Some Dodgers fans were quick to write off Gavin Stone as if he were a Joe Adele type prospect in his fourth year and still no progress. You've said this a million times, Coach. When a guy's had success, at some point, Eddie tells me this all the time, Eddie Daves, at some point, he will have success. We don't know when that will be, but at some point, they will have success. That reminds me, when I hear that quote, that reminds me of Gavin Stone. At some point, you will see the Gavin Stone that everybody else. That Charlie Huff, if you talk to him about Gavin Stone, he'll talk your ear off about him. At some point, you'll see that Gavin Stone, and we're starting to see that, hopefully. That's a continual thing.
That's happened in baseball numerous times, hundreds of times, thousands of times. Unfortunately, we've seen it just because I follow the Dodgers closer than anybody. Sometimes the Rangers because they're close, but where you give up on that guy and they go to another organization, next thing you know, they're an MVP or they're a Cy Young Award winner. It's not because they didn't have it, they just lost patience with them. No, I totally agree with you. These guys, the evaluation process nowadays, the analytics, all the video, everything they have to evaluate these young men now is off the charts. Mm-hmm. If they see something, they know something's in there, they're not going to give up on it too soon. They're going to give them opportunities. And like we said last year with the Dodgers, those young kids saved our bacon coming up and pitching when all the rotation went down. And as far as the pitching end of it, that you just can't. That's invaluable. I mean, to have be able to bring those guys up to do that. So it looks good for the future for the Dodgers, but they're playing for now.
Super proud of Gavin. Yeah, super proud of Gavin Stone, man. That dude. Hey, I can't explain it to you. You know, I had this moment. We've all had this moment. You work. You finally get your shot with whatever level it is that you're trying to make. And then you just look like Ned in the Third Degree. And you're just like, damn, I just blew my shot, right? It happens. And I mean, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
That dude dealt with a lot of disappointment last year. So he had a crossroads. You can do one of two things when that happens, Coach. You can either say, oh, well, woe is me, I suck, blah, blah, blah. Or you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You can make the adjustments you need to make. You can go out and make the improvements you need to and overcome it. And I think Gavin Stone is showing he's always been a champion in the mind. He's showing that he is overcoming all of that disappointment. I'm super – there's also a human element to this. I mean, for me there is, because I know these guys. Super proud of that guy for what he has actually done and to get back to where he's at. Now, having said that, it's spring training. It's just 3 or 4 starts. You don't want to make too much out of it. But I will say, from that process of it, very proud of him.
But you don't have any choice. That's only the sample size you have is what you're seeing in spring training. I think I've told you this several times. When Gavin was sitting down last year by the Dodgers, I saw him. You were probably there too, knowing you. It's right out in your back door, for Oklahoma City. I saw Gavin pitch on a Saturday night down there. It's just right after they sent him down. He kind of got banged around a little bit. But, I'm sitting with a buddy of mine, and we're talking. I said, the kids in Oklahoma City in front of 3,000 fans on Saturday night, instead of being in a major league stadium, I said, give him a little, give him something, give him a little bit. He's out there, he had good velocity, but you got to hit around a little bit. They didn't, and the Dodgers aren't stupid. They didn't keep him in there very long. They didn't get beat up and throw a lot of pitches, but give the kid a break. But again, it's not just me as a fan ready to pull the plug as soon as something goes bad. Those guys have all the information they need on him. They're not going to give up on him. And the interesting thing is all the other teams have all the information.
Yes, they do.
It's nuts. They know exactly if some guy's available, they're going to go get him. So if he didn't have the potential, the ability to be in the big leagues, he'd already be gone. Dodgers, somebody would let him go, and the other teams would be shying away from him. So not just the Dodgers, but everybody sees something. I promise you, everybody sees something out of this kid. It's time. I mean, nobody thought Miller would be in the big leagues last year either. I watched him pitch at Tulsa. Everything's 100 miles an hour.
Especially when he started on the IL, yeah.
Yeah, and half of them are on the back of the screen back there, but it sure looked good. I loved it. I was up on every one.
It was a pretty-looking screenshot, right?
It was a pretty-looking 100-mile-an-hour off the backstop. But anyway, that was just 2 summers ago. So after he had a good spring, he had a little spring with the Dodgers, but and now look at him. He's made the turn. He's still young. He's still gonna make some mistakes. He's still not the finished product, but all of them are that way. Not very many 19-year-old Doc Goodens walking around winning the Cy Young like he did. I think he was 19, maybe the first time. I may have been wrong, but I know he was young. And
very few hit the ground running.
They don't come in there like that and set the world on fire usually. But
the game's different too. There's more talent, I think.
Absolutely. Up and down every lineup, like I said, can hit. They don't care if they strike out. All they want to do is rip you. So.
Hey, Denard says Gavin Stone is the next Bobby Miller, made adjustments and is here to stay long term. I love that attitude. Let's hope that is the case. Norm Lee, Lux looked more comfortable at second base, where his career fielding percentage has been higher than at shortstop, but I don't think the regular season, especially this year, is the time to experiment with Betts. Yeah, that's a solid point. I can't disagree with you. All I can tell you is that's what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to go out and make a trade right now. I think they're going to ride with that. Hey, Hep, see you later. Some Dodgers fans were quick to write off Stone as if we've already read that comment. Let's keep going. Team looked good today. Middle infield still a problem. Can't turn two, even if Oprah was running to first. Yeah, we got a little. Sometimes you got to make fun of yourself in this game because it's a game of failure, right?
Yes, we do.
Emmett Sheehan, he's going to start on the IL. I don't have any specific information. I can tell you though that 2 years ago in 2022, started the season the same way. Took some time off on the IL, came back guns a-blazing. So I'm not super worried about him. But again, I don't have a whole lot of inside information, just a few birdies flying around. So I can't totally fill you in on that, but I'm not super worried about that because, again, I think the Dodgers have plenty of depth to get to a position to where they're going to make the playoffs. So this is all about setting up for that final run, and I think you'll be just fine for that part of the season. Mike Boyer, thank you so much for joining. Dodgers have pitchers coming back from the DL. That's another great point. We haven't even talked about Buehler and Clayton Kershaw coming back, and also Dustin May. I'm not sure about Gonsolin, plus the 5 starts they have in the rotation. So you also have guys coming like Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw, possibly Dustin May, that I think would probably add to your bullpen. So, yeah, you even got guys like that coming off, don't you?
All right, and that's something to look forward to. Only thing to make that better, they all three come back healthy where they need to be. Like I said, Kershaw is getting up there a little bit. He's still a quality, first ballot Hall of Fame pitcher.
I think he'll be really good in a role that the Dodgers can give him too.
Yeah, I totally agree. And he's good for the clubhouse, good for the team. But he still is a quality pitcher, and he's a left-hander. Mm-hmm. Let's face it. I mean, you can't ever have enough of those quality pitchers. And, if May comes back, and, that's a great arm to have in the bullpen, too, especially that may fix some of our bullpen stuff. If it doesn't get better, some of these injuries turn out to be some long-term stuff. You have to have some guys coming that could do some stuff like, pretty high-priced relievers, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, Trinan just has a bruised lung. Scan showed no fracture. Good information there, Showtime. Thank you so much for that. That's the part, I'm not going to lie, that's the part I'm the weakest on, all the newsy type stuff. I'm more of an analyst, so, man, whenever you guys fill me in with that kind of stuff, that is really a help. Help See Later says, I'm on the kick Bessia to the moon and bring on John Rooney or John Gamboa train. You know that I won't argue with that. I have been championing, hey, man, do right by John Rooney, do right by Alec Gamboa. They're 27 years old. They've been programmed guys. You know those guys. Hey, man, they've been programmed guys their whole time. They've done what you've asked them to do. They've actually performed. Just give them a shot, right? Just give them a chance. Give them a chance at some kind of role.
Well, we'll never know. Like I said,
right, there you go.
They're still around because the Dodgers think they can do it. If they don't, why are you keeping them if you don't think they're major league top pitchers? I mean, well, yeah, we got to have numbers. Grab a bunch of kids and go up there if you don't think these guys can help you. But they're 27 years old. It's do or die time for their career, in my opinion. Yeah. Bring them up and let them go, especially when you're kind of hobbled a little bit out there in the bullpen. Give them an opportunity. It's kind of like Michael Grove. That dude, he's done everything you asked him to do and put the time in, and it's go time.
Yeah.
But you got to find out. And like I said, this is a good team to do it with, scoring 6 runs a game.
And spring training.
And spring training.
How much stock do you put into spring training? I mean, is that the lights aren't that bright? How much stock do you put into that?
Well, you look at it several ways. You're also looking at how many at-bats are your studs getting. You know what I'm saying? They're not playing the full 9 innings. Yeah. So I know you're getting a lot of kids playing time. So there's several ways of looking at that. Well, they did this and that in spring training. Doesn't mean anything. Well, what does it mean then? I mean, you're still getting some young kids in there against major league pitching or possible major league pitching. I guess you can. I'm sure Mookie and those guys aren't. I haven't looked at the box score. I'm sure they're not getting more than a couple of bats at a time. I wouldn't think they're going much more than that. They're getting them out of there and getting some young kids in there. You can't take a chance on that. So I mean, you still get to see kids compete against major league level competition.
But how much stock do you put in Stone and Grove's performances because it is spring training?
What I put into that is what else you going to go on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's my whole point. But don't have spring training and don't have workouts where you're evaluating kids and watching them and putting them against hitters if you're not going to use it. I mean, that's all you have to go on. I mean, hey, it's just spring training that did that. Okay, so what does that mean? I mean, so you just throw him back down to Oklahoma City, and I just don't. You don't have anything else to go on. I'll go back to Matt Holliday's situation. He had a great spring before he came to the big leagues. Hit 3.8, I don't know, 3.8, 3.8 in the spring. They broke camp. He goes back to Colorado Springs. Larry Walker gets hurt. He's going to be out for an extended period of time. They brought Matt right back up, and he never left. And he's a 7-time All-Star. The rest they say is history. Well, my point was he had a great spring. Is why he even had that opportunity. Mm-hmm. He had a great spring training.
It mattered.
It mattered what he did in spring training, or he's not going to get that call that quick. Because I don't remember exactly the time. I know Larry Walker because I'm close to the family. I know the guy. I know he was early, and he comes up and never left. So. There's certain, you can look at it. I don't put a whole lot of stock in the record, the one-loss record. In
just the way they look, the process of it. Yeah.
Yes, and they're competing, how they look, and that's all that Roberts and staff and all those people can go on.
Yeah, their sequencing looks good. Their pitch profiles look good. All that kind of thing. Yeah.
We have preseason scrimmages too, just like you did, Case. Right. I mean, those are important because we're evaluating. We're getting an idea on what a guy can do. It's not 6A level competition in Oklahoma where we're yet, but we have nothing else to go on.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? We can put him in there, have him throw a bullpen with no hitter up there and act like we know what the heck we're doing.
Yeah.
But we really don't know what the heck we're doing until he faces hitters, and it's not some people that he sees every day.
Sure.
So
another team, yeah.
I put nothing into. I don't even know what the Dodgers record is this spring in Scrape. I don't care. What is your?
I tell people I don't even know what the final score of games are. I couldn't tell you.
What does your development look like? Who are the guys? And that's. So I would argue that it is very important that I put a lot of stock into what goes on in spring training because you have no other choice.
Yep.
Quit doing it if it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly.
The heck with it. Don't do it.
Hey, Lux isn't flexible enough and acrobatic enough to handle short. Never was. That's why he blew his knee out on the bases in the first place. That is from Mike Taylor. Normally I said it before, with the exception of the top 5 paid players on the team, everyone will have a fairly short leash this year. One thing I love about the Dodgers Dogs crowd, Coach, that we've built here is that we are able to be real about the positives and negatives of guys, but in a real way and not a way that we're throwing a guy under a bus, right? The comments that we get about the good and the bad are just simply absolutely fantastic on this. So I'm so proud of it.
Well, it comes from several different points. First of all, we're all Dodger fans. We love Dodgers. Yeah. We want them to do well, want to win the World Series every year. Who are we trying to kid here? But we're not going to sit here and not say if something needs to be said. I mean, that doesn't mean nobody cares. I'm a little high school coach in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Nobody really cares up in L.A. what the heck I think, but I do watch it and love it and have an idea, just from the fan standpoint of, what you want to see and what it needs to look like. And like the comments you're getting right there from all the people that are in there. Yeah. First of all, they love it, they care about it, but they're knowledgeable. You're not just getting
Coach.
You're not just getting a bunch of yahoos and
not at all.
We're going to win it all this year. That they're wanting to win it all, like me and you and everybody else. But they have knowledgeable. They look at the game knowledgeable, and that's why the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and that's why
we spend so much time going on these live shows, because you guys are so much fun to talk to. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah,
and they'll disagree. Again, like I said, we're not politicians. We disagree. Yeah, we still love each other. We love our Dodgers. It makes no difference. Yeah, that's the way I'm old enough to remember that's the way the world used to be. Politics used to be that way. We disagreed, and we go out and drink beer that night. And who cares?
It ain't the way it is now. We won't get into that.
That's the way it is now. We won't get. I don't even want to get into that. But anyway, I'm just saying it. Yeah. That I love that about us in here, and we disagree with each other, and then we just go on about it. And we take it for what it is. It's healthy discussion.
It is. Hey, we have a few more comments here, Coach. Normally I said it before, with the exception of the top 5 paid players, everyone else will have a short leash. Jose Ayala also backs that up. I think so, Casey. Dodgers aren't kidding around. Everybody but the headliners will be under the microscope. Whoever doesn't produce will be moved. Like I said, the Dodgers aren't playing around. I see that again. This is the kind of comments with the kind of conversation we get into. That is exactly correct. That is 100%. And I promise you, they've had that conversation in the war rooms. Those are fantastic comments.
Yep, absolutely. They're spot on.
Yeah, spot on.
As spot on. You mentioned about Jason Hayward earlier. I just think it's going to be a longer leash than Lux had, because we're talking about
some more than others. Yeah, right.
Major defensive position. I remember back in the day, talking about Jimmy Johnson with the Dallas Cowboys. He cut a guy for falling asleep in the meeting. It wasn't Aikman, Smith, or Irvin. No, it wasn't. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Okay, hey,
Troy Aikman went to sleep in the meeting. He ain't getting cut. Anyway.
Hey, Troy, wake up, please. Do you mind waking up? Will you
please? Would you please wake up? Anyway.
Hey, Chin Lu says, right now Stone and Michael Grove pitching very well, but I worry the regular season if they pitch the same as spring training. We talked about that earlier. Yep. That is a discussion to have. But again, like you said, if it doesn't matter, spring training doesn't matter, then why do we do it? That's the viewpoint we're taking, right?
Yeah, let's just have a few practices, inter-squad, and go play if it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Hey, Roy says, see you later. I was disappointed and down on Stone last year. This year he's looking like we expected. Hope it goes into the season. That's another thing. It has to go into the season. That is a good point and a good take. Hepatitis, see you later. Game 5 of the 2024 NLCS series tied 4-4, bottom of the 8, 2 outs. RC on second. Dave Roberts puts in Alex Vesey to face Matt Olson.
You see all of our heads exploding. All the LA is getting knocked off the front of our head.
I love it. That is simply fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, and then the post-game quote. I liked Alex Vesia in that spot.
in that position, in that spot. Hey, that's kind of like a lot of guys with Coach Stoops down at OU said about analytics. That's just a bunch of guys making excuses for something they screwed up. That's the way he looks at analytits in football.
Hey, Coach,
I know it's a lot better in baseball. It's spray charts and all that stuff is great. But anyway,
we have this old vet in here that they used to play professional baseball, Harley Anderson, man. He's awesome. He's an awesome dude. He says it's not like the old days. Players had better come to spring training ready to compete. You mentioned that earlier.
Harley knows.
You
what
and
he's
Harley
talking
are on the
about.
same page, Coach.
Yeah, Harley knows a lot. He knows more he's talking about than I do. I never played minor league baseball, but Harley knows. I just remember the guys talking about that. The deal was, I always say beer trucks. It seemed like the NFL guys, those major leaguers, they all had jobs in the off season. They didn't get paid. They had to support the families, and they drink beer and whatever. And they had a month to go out there and sweat it all off and get in shape. Not that way anymore.
Hey, we have a question here. If Will Smith can't protect Freddie Freeman in the cleanup spot, who would you put in that role? Who do you want protecting Freddie Freeman?
That's a tough question.
Muncy?
It had to be Muncy. And I hadn't watched the game. I know I've seen some video. Muncy's lost some weight. They say, everything. That's another part we don't take into account, not only for Muncy and all these other guys and Gavin Stone. He learned from what it went bad for him last year. Maybe
he's
Muncy
a gamer too, Coach.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he learned from those. That's the thing. We don't take into account. Give that kid some credit. He learned from what he screwed up on. Or he has to. We all do.
But is he physically a good enough fielder? I don't. That Muncy's a good player. Or that's not.
No. I was talking about the Stone part, the Gavin part.
Oh yeah.
And maybe Muncy looks and goes, I'm getting older.
Yeah.
I can knock off a 15 here around the middle.
Yeah.
He looks great. There's no doubt he's a run producer. He's a run producer. Maybe he will. Maybe he's tired of hearing it. Maybe he decides he wants to cut down on the strikeout.
There you go.
Maybe he wants to make himself a better. We don't take into account.
I think he definitely took the defense to heart.
Guy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We don't take into account what's inside of that guy, and that's not fair to them. Because a competitive guy, we've all been competitors on whatever level we were on. That competitive fire is a big deal, and maybe he's tired of hearing it too. And maybe he just realized, hey, I need to change some things.
That's a good point.
He's dang sure a run producer. We just can't. Well, he did this last year. He sucked, so he's going to suck this year. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he does, he won't go be around because we're also talking about a multi-billion-dollar business here.
Yeah, right.
Give those kids some credit. I mean, you've talked about that before. Well, they do it all season. They're probably working with you, watching videos, analyzing stuff. What else? They're not driving beer trucks, so they got time to do that stuff.
They're not running a chainsaw.
No, they get to work. Since what's the guy from want to play for the Giants? What's his name? The pitcher that wanted to fight everybody and hit home runs off of. Get it out of the ocean. Anyway, he used to run.
Yeah.
Anyway, Baumgartner, Madison Baumgartner.
Yeah.
By the way, I would take him any day, but I know he's a hard hit. But anyway, those guys are doing stuff and all. Just give them credit for what they're improving themselves on. They know. If they don't know, somebody's told them. Or they've seen it. What do you need to do? I know everybody has exit meetings with people. Hey, here's what I need to. Here's what you need to work on, and blah blah blah. This is Major League Baseball. I'm paying you millions of dollars. Yeah, I'm gonna sit you down and tell you here's what we need to do. Or I don't know. It's a totally different deal, but it's not. It's an organization, and it's a highly successful organization. It's not going to just stand pat. And like I said, they had a plan with Lux. Lasted 10 chances. We don't have a plan anymore. I coached basketball years ago, and I always had a game plan in my coat pocket. Fold up paper, and here's what we got.
Middle of the second quarter.
Middle of the first or second quarter, looking around at the assistants and wadding it up, going to the bleachers, going new plan. What are you going to do? That's what you do. The best laid plans, but if you're an idiot, you just keep trying to do the same thing, as they say, the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over, getting the same results. So these people aren't idiots. So I trust the guys in charge of this thing. But looking at it, quote unquote, on paper, what they're putting out there, it's going to be something amazing. And
it is.
I can't wait to watch it.
Hey, Roy Estrada has a question for you. As a coach, how would you handle Lux at this point? What coaching decision would you make?
Well, I think they did a good one. You didn't just replace him with some rookie from coming up from Tulsa. You replaced him with a first ballot Hall of Famer. So it's a negative, and I noticed Dave Roberts' quote about it. There's some disappointment. Sure he is. Yes, he's disappointed. You had an opportunity, but now we move Mookie Betts over there. But I think the fact you didn't take him off the field gives him an opportunity to see, yeah, I was struggling there. I'm going back to something I feel more comfortable with. They feel more comfortable with. I think from a coaching standpoint, you say we're not giving up on you. Mm-hmm. But also Dave Roberts, his job's on the line for a lot of stuff.
We're not giving up on you, but damn it, you got to hold up your end of the bargain, man.
Absolutely,
you got to give us something to work with here, brother.
That's right, but we're not giving up on you. But like me and you talked about earlier, there's only one. The next place you go is Oklahoma City to learn how to play outfield. That's where we are here now. Even if you're hitting 300, you're going to be on the bench.
Love you, brother, but this is where we're at with you.
Yeah, there's no place on the infield for you to play anywhere else. Muncie isn't coming out, and Freddie sure as heck ain't coming out. So, no, I think you can. And Dave seems to be really good at this. I don't know the guy personally, but just and you hear the players talk. I think he's good at. I think he probably handled that the right way. Mm-hmm. It's a tough situation. Are you kidding me? That's as we talk about.
Those are tougher conversations.
That's a tough conversation. I've had
Mookie really helped out. Mookie helped the situation out, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a tough situation. We've had tough conversations. I've had them as a coach, a parent, and certainly as a principal. Stuff you have to say stuff that it's just, but you had to find a way to get through it and work through it where something we can work with. So you tell him, hey, yeah, we had to make a move because we can't play with what we saw there. We know you can play this right here. You've had some success in the past. We need to see you perform there. You shouldn't have to say your next stop's Oklahoma City, but
yeah,
he should be smart enough to figure, now where am I going?
Yeah.
If you're off the field.
He is. See, those conversations aren't tough because you start yelling at each other and getting.
No.
They're tough because you have to look at a guy in the eye that you love. You love these guys, right? They're like your family. And you have to look at that disappointment and be a leader and say, I can't let that affect me.
Yeah.
I know you're disappointed. I'm sorry about that, but we got to put the team first. And it's on you to get over that disappointment and to do what I'm asking you to do.
Absolutely.
That makes it a very difficult conversation because you just want to cuddle them and you want to hug them and you want to say, I love you, brother. But you can't, man. You just got to say, this is where we're at. Go figure it out, man.
And like I said, Dave Roberts answers to a lot of people.
Yes.
He answers to a lot of people. He don't answer me and you and all of us Dodger dogs, but he kind of does, but we don't, whatever. But,
yeah,
the owner, general manager, the team, he answers those guys in the clubhouse, his coaches. He answers to a lot of people. And that's a high-stress situation where, not George Steinbrenner's not the owner, where they may fire him 10 games in, but,
and then rehire him.
And then rehire him, then fire him again, then rehire him and fire him again. But, he's under the gun too. And all of his coaches' staffs are too. So there's pressure on all these guys. But you know what? That's why they're there.
Yeah.
I got pressure on. I don't now. I'm a little retired principal coaching first base, so not a whole lot of pressure on me now. I just enjoy the kids in the game of baseball now. But when I was a head coach or a principal or whatever, I always felt pressure. The pressure. Put it on yourself. Case, you've been a head coach. It's the same thing. It's always
the pressure always comes from yourself. Always.
And it comes from within.
I could give two rats ass what people think about me. I care about what I think about myself when it comes to competition. Well, that's the same with this show, Coach. I don't care what other people think about. I want to know that if in my opinion I'm putting out the best product I possibly can, I'm good with it. If it gets 2 views or 2,000, it's the best I can do.
That's what I'm saying. I was always the same way. I used to have people who get upset. I used to always say, if my superintendent and a school board isn't the one talking, I don't care what anybody else has got to say. If I see your name on my paycheck, then I'll start worrying what you have to say. Otherwise, I don't. And everybody wants to be liked. I'm not, me, Case. But the point is, I can't. I'm not answering to you.
Yeah.
And I think
so he had a bigger cause he had to answer to. Yeah, no doubt.
I think Dabo Sweeney had the best.
And it's up to Gavin Lux to conform to that. That's on him, man. That's totally on him.
You're a professional player. Yeah. You're a professional baseball player paid millions of dollars. I think Dabo Sweeney said the same thing. Why would you worry about criticism from somebody who you wouldn't seek advice from? Yeah. Or however, I'm kind of paraphrasing there. Basically, what do you care what somebody thinks if you wouldn't care what they thought? We're getting advice from them. No, He's I don't know the guy, but he's a professional baseball player.
No
What do you
doubt.
think's going to happen, dude? They're going to get some 20-year-old from Dominican who rolls in there, the next hot prospect, and you're old news.
Yeah,
it's just the
no
way
doubt.
the world is.
It is.
The world of baseball, yes.
Hey, Nolan Ryan was a freak. That's what Mike Taylor said. No doubt about that. Nolan Ryan would go work out after the game, and he'd work out before the game. He was like a robot, man, an old farm boy that he just doesn't know anything other than to work. Hep C says Lux's offense is going to make this team dangerous because he's going to be able to flip that table back to the lane, back to the murder.
Absolutely. It's
totally
a great.
agree.
We already touched on that. He's a great 9-hole hitter. You know, if he hits 300 at 9.
It's kind of like that fifth starter. He doesn't have to be the guy that's dynamic and hitting home runs and doing everything. He just needs to be a 9-hole.
Yeah, I don't care how many extra base hits you get. I'll be honest with you. I don't care how many you get. Again, go back to Moneyball. Are you on base? Get on base, and hey, you're on base, and guess who's walking up to the plate? Here comes Mookie Betts walking up. Guess who's behind him? Guess who's behind him? Get you some of that. Whoever's on the mound over there, in the other dugout. So that's what it's going to boil down to.
Hey, let's finish up these comments, Coach. We have a couple more to go here. I'm hoping Muncie can have the all-star season, no doubt about that. Good evening, Jose Ayala. Good evening, Mike Boyer. I always enjoy your show. Very informative and entertaining. Thanks for being here for Dodgers fans. Well, hey, Coach Holt and I and Austin, we have built this from the ground up. We're just a bunch of dudes that love the Dodgers, and we love to talk. And so when people make comments like that, it absolutely makes a huge difference. And the way the One-Eyed Dragon saying that big boy pants, that's what you got to put on, man. You got to put on your big boy pants, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, Mr. Seabat, if Dave Roberts was abducted by aliens and went missing, who would you replace Dave with? And yes, I drink. Mr. Seabat bringing the A-game humor today. Mr. Seabat's always our comic. But that would be a very easy decision for me. It would be the AAA manager, Travis Barbary. He is a guy that will get thrown out 7 or 8 times a year defending his players. He will have his players back. He is a lifetime Dodger. Since the time he quit playing in his 20s, he has been with the Dodgers. He's like 52, 53 now. He doesn't know anything other than the Dodgers. He is a super professional dude. He's a guy that Dodgers fans would love, and he would have his players back. And although he's laid back, he's a South Carolina country boy. He likes to hunt. So he's got that kind of small boy laid back to him, but he also has that small town temper to him, right? I think that would be the perfect fit for the Dodgers. That's who I would choose. Do you have anybody else that you would choose?
No, he's talking, and you're talking about a guy there who, like you said, the small town country guy. They're all about respect, all about accountability.
100%.
That's what I'm saying, all about respect. And if you get something like that where that situation came up where it's a total emergency, I think you got to have somebody with managerial experience. I don't care that's Tommy Lasorda was a AAA manager forever. I mean, they all start somewhere. But hey, you ain't got any experience. How's he gonna get some? The same thing. Quit doing.
So everybody started somewhere.
Everybody started somewhere. Quit doing spring training is not important.
Yeah,
quit having a guy managing AAA if you're not going to give him a chance. I don't know. I don't get it. Get Henny up there. I don't care. We love Henny. Get Henny up there anyway.
That'd be a hell of a good time, Coach. You're bringing your A game tonight, brother. No doubt about it. Bringing the A game, Coach Holt. Hey, Tommy Price says Tio Hernandez can protect Freddie. No doubt about that. Right. I would totally agree. And, hey, Charlie Stokes, thank you so much for joining tonight. And then I think we have one more comment. Norm Lee Owings has looked solid at third base this spring. Unless he decides to move on, I think he'd be a priority call-up at some point this season. Yeah, they'd have to get him on the 40-man. That would be the difficult part with him. But, hey, this has been a great show, Coach. I've been trying to get you back on. We've all been busy. I've been doing a lot of these by myself. It's just been one of those deals to where baseball started for you. Oklahoma State, all my O-State daily stuff's been firing off pretty heavy on the other side of this. And so it's been really busy. So, hey, great to have you back, Coach. You brought your A game tonight. Final thoughts.
Well, by the way, first of all, I had nothing to do with getting this started. That's you in Austin. All I do is my wife showed me how to set this computer up and all the equipment you sent me. So I had nothing as far as getting this off the ground. I'm just a guy who enjoys.
How's the dog bite?
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
You had the dog get past the other day. That wasn't the one that scratched me.
No, that was the other one.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear about that. But no, Case, I'm just a guy. Of course, I love you and your family, and we go way back. And I'm glad we have something common here for the Dodgers and love the Dodgers. And these people are get on here the same way. I just enjoy being on here anytime I can. And I will try to get on anytime I can. And I don't claim to know much or anything. I'll talk to you about it as an old country boy baseball coach, high school, and American Legion. Try to put that spin on it. But those smart guys that make it all the money are all in L.A. So are in Camelback Ranch right now. So we support them, you know, even when we get mad at them, even though we all get mad at them at some point or another. Not going to change. So I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to the next time we get together.
Coach, I love you, my man. I love all my Dodgers dogs out there, and have a great night. Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.